All right, let's go. I'm Patrick Brady, chair of MBTA's Young Professional Group, and this is Maine Better. Today we have Brian Langley. How are you doing, Mr. Langley?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
My name is Brian Langley. I live here in Ellsworth, Maine. I own and operate the Union River Lobster Pot Restaurant. It's our 25th year here on the banks of the historic Union River. I taught at Hancock County Technical Center for 27 years, taught culinary arts. I retired in 2008. I ran for the legislature in 2008, was elected to the House, served one term in the House. There was an open Senate seat in 2010. Ran for that and won, and served 4 terms in the Senate. I chaired the Education Committee for 6 of the 8 years I served on that committee. I served 2 terms on marine resources because I happen to know a little bit about that. I served a term on taxation and also a term on the Labor, Commerce, Research, and Economic Development Committee. So I termed out in 2018 and thought I would never do this again. And then 2 things kind of inspired me to come back and run again. The first one was the state's economic development plan. That was something we had voted on in the Labor, Commerce, and Economic Development Committee, Research Economic Development Committee. And that's something I firmly believed in, that there be a 10-year economic development plan that could be benchmarked and then the state could move forward on. When that plan came out and I saw the full aspect of it, many of those areas that were highlighted in there were areas that I had experience in. Certainly having a well-skilled workforce. I spent my adult life teaching in a technical center and then served 8 years on the education committee, working closely with the university, community colleges, and our workforce development people. So that was near and dear to my heart. Forestry products, fisheries, and agriculture were also in there. Those were all things that I'd had some dealings with and had a little policy experience with, and felt I could contribute to that economic development plan. Then the pandemic laid down on us, and everything came to a screeching halt here in Maine. And as a small business owner, found myself having to reinvent myself and what I'm doing. And as that laid down on us, it became very apparent to me that Maine was going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to reinvent ourselves. We're going to have to approach how we do things much differently. And the experience that I've had in my own business and what I've had to do would be something that would translate to the state of Maine. Now, I've had a little bit of experience with that. When I came into the Senate in 2010, when we came in, there was a $1 billion shortfall in the budget. And over the 8 years that I served, we were able to turn that $1 billion shortfall into a few $100 million in the rainy day fund. So in a nutshell, what I would say the reason why I'm running is I've good, strong policy experience, and I know how the system works, and I have a clear understanding where we need to go.
What's the worst road in your district?
Route 15 traditionally, now I'm not so sure if it is today. They've done a lot of work on it. You see that there's a reason why there's the scene that's behind me is down in Stonington, and traditionally that road's been pretty rough coming down into Blue Hill, Sedgwick, Brooksville, and then heading down into Stonington. A lot of lobster comes over the roads that way. Those roads take a lot of heavy use. So that traditionally has been the worst road.
Is there anything that the state can do to help improve transportation in your district?
The biggest relationship the state has in my district is with the ferry system. In my district, where transportation is probably the most vital, is the ferry system.
What was your first car?
My first car was a Ford Galaxie 500, 1970, I believe it was. And at the time I got it with studded snow tires. It was like a tank, and that thing would go anywhere. I think it might have been $100 or something like that. It wasn't. I went to a vocational school. My brother took auto mechanics at the same vocational school, so he did all the work on my car in school. So we kept it on the road.
What's your favorite lesser-known spot in Maine?
At Hancock County Technical Center for 9 years, I taught tourism. My favorite assignment of all time that I've ever done was, and it's got a little transportation related, so I won't go too far off topic, but I had students do research of their hometown, produce a 10-page report, produce a brochure for their town, and develop a tour, a step-on tour. And then we would take a bus, a school bus, and go to their town and pick up their fifth graders, and we would take them on a step-on tour of their town, delivered by the student who lived there. And we would, have lemonade and cookies, and they would have to plan for bathroom stops, and get them into the tourism sector. But doing that over 9 years, I got to see lots of places that nobody would ever really get to. But some of them are pretty known. Raven's Nest down in near Winter Harbor is a beautiful view. One of my favorites is one called Hunter Beach in Seal Cove. And what's special about that is that over the millennia, as the waves have come crashing in onto the beach, they've rounded all of the rocks that are on the beach. And when the waves come in and then when they recede, all the rocks click and they make this noise. So, and there's a little tiny sign about this big that says Hunter Beach on a little pole. That's all you'd ever, if you didn't know where it was, you'd just keep driving by it. So we're blessed really down here to have places, like Pumpkin Island, which you see behind me. So I've often argued in the Senate and on the committees that I am that I live in the prettiest district in the state, and we have good competition throughout all the state for beautiful spots. So it's a pretty fun game.
All right, well, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Langley.
It's been my pleasure.